All right, y'all. What is going on, man? Look, we are going to jump right into this video, right? Now, as y'all can tell by the title, we are here to talk about the dark side of pornography websites, right? Now, this comes from another clip from the Theo Von channel. This is like his, I guess, his clip channel. So the original interview is on his main channel for people that may want to go check out the entire thing, right? He did an interview with a lady who goes into detail about Cornhub. Notice I say Cornhub for a reason, don't want to say that too much. So the interview, they really go into the trafficking side of Cornhub. Now, there's some things that I've never heard about the website itself. So y'all remember how I was talking about these videos are gonna kind of relate that I got, coming up for the channel. It ties back into the original video we did about watching spirits in film, which you know what I'm talking about. It ties back into the video we just did about the dark side of dating apps. Now this goes a little bit further into trafficking, abuse, all kinds of stuff that has to do with Cornhub in specific, or it could be any of the other sites. So all of this stuff applies, right? Now, listening to some of the facts, some of the numbers about the amount of content that's uploaded, the amount of videos that go, basically like untraced, they're not checked, they're not verified, and you could pretty much post any kind of abuse on the website regardless. It blew my mind, right? So I immediately knew, had to react to this video and just get y'all opinion on the channel, since we have really been attacking this stuff lately. And y'all will find this to be very interesting, very mind-blowing, and really just sick. And it just goes into the underworld of how people really think and the things that people are out here doing to the little ones and women in general, or even little boys. It is sick, y'all. If you have a chance to do something about it, it really makes you want to join that wave. So without me doing too much talking, y'all, we'll jump right ahead into this first clip. But with that being said, y'all, check this out.
Sure. I will tell you that story.
Okay.
So in the context of years in the fight against sex trafficking, so I had been fighting sex trafficking when this began. So this began at the start of 2020. This was February 2020 when the fight to hold Pornhub accountable for rape, sex trafficking, child abuse began. And that was in the context of over a decade in the fight against trafficking at that point. And I had been paying attention to the headlines, obviously, when sexual abuse stories, trafficking stories came up. I was paying attention. And one of the stories that came up at late 2019 that really arrested my attention. It was a story of a 15-year-old girl, and she was from Broward County, Florida, and she was missing for an entire year, and she was finally found when her distraught mother was tipped off by a Pornhub user that he recognized her daughter on the site.
Wow.
And she was found in 58 videos being abused for profit. These are monetized videos. Police, were dispatched, and they actually rescued her out of his apartment. She had been impregnated. They got her out of that situation. But that was a story that had made some headlines, and it was a horrifying story. At the same time, there was an investigation that was released by the Sunday Times, the London Sunday Times, and they had found dozens of illegal videos on Pornhub within minutes, even children as young as 3. So these two particular stories were standing out. There was one other that was really horrifying at the time. It was about an adult, a woman named Nicole Adamando, and she was from New York. And she was being abused by her partner. She was being raped and tortured. He was filming it, and he was uploading it to Pornhub. And then she ended up killing him in self-defense, but she was sentenced to life in prison. separated from her 2 young children. And thankfully, she had an amazing legal team and they fought that and they got it reduced to 7 years and she's finally out today.
Wow.
But it was just a heartbreaking story. And so at the time, I was really actually discouraged in my fight against trafficking. I had been doing it for a long time. I felt like we weren't making very much progress, but it's not something that I can quit because I'm dedicated to this. But I was up late one night in early 2020. I think it was, January 31st, 2020. And I was consoling my own crying baby at that time because he was born, he had a birth complication. He was a very mad baby.
What do you mean? Oh, crying baby.
Yeah, crying baby.
Okay.
Yeah, he was up, I was up at all hours of the night.
I thought you said crime baby. I was like, oh, what is a crime baby?
No, crying baby.
Okay.
Yeah, and so I was up late consoling him and thinking about that story of the 15-year-old girl. And suddenly, an idea came to mind. I just said, you know what? How are they vetting these videos? How is this abuse ending up on Pornhub? And an idea just flashed into mind. I said, I'm going to test the upload system for myself, and I'm going to see what does it take to upload content to Pornhub. So put the baby down, got out my phone, took a video of the computer screen and the rug in the dark room, and I uploaded it to Pornhub, and I found out what millions of people already knew. Because at that time, millions of videos were being uploaded every year. In fact, the amount of content that was being uploaded to Pornhub, if you put those videos back to back, just the amount of content they would upload in 1 year, it would take 169 years to watch if you put those videos back to back. That's how much content was being uploaded.
Or had been uploaded total, you mean?
No, per year.
Wow.
Yes. That's not even counting the images.
Unbelievable.
So I tested I found out, like I said, what millions of people already knew, and that was that all it took to upload was an email address. So in under 10 minutes, anybody with an iPhone, anywhere in the world, can upload a video, and they were not checking age, they were not checking ID to make sure that these are not children in the videos. They're not verifying consent to make sure that these are not rape or trafficking victims. And because of that, I quickly understood that Pornhub was not a porn site, it was a crime scene. Like, it was infested with videos of real sexual crime.
Now, listening to that first part of that clip, right, it makes me think about when people say I could have went my entire life without knowing that. That's the kind of stuff that's coming out of Pornhub. The trafficking, the abuse, basically major sex crimes being posted on the internet by anyone who has an iPhone and an email. At the time, there was really no process. Now, she's talking about back in 2020. Certain things have changed, which you'll hear later in this video when she talks about it a little bit more. But you didn't necessarily have to be verified. Even if you were verified as an uploader, the content that you're uploading, it's not checked. As long as you're verified as the uploader, it didn't really matter what you were putting on the website. It reminds me of when people say that, because we're talking about, a very sick and sadistic side of things that most people don't want to know about, because then it ruins what they go on the site for. I can guarantee you right now, with hundreds of millions of videos being posted every year on these websites, someone who, watches porn every day, a couple of times a day, or, even once every couple of days, there's probably over a 90% chance you have watched a video where a girl was being forced to do something that it just didn't seem like it. You just didn't really know. If you've been watching it for years, if you've been masturbating to it for years, there's a very high chance that you have watched a video of a sex crime being taken place right on your phone. That easy. You've seen it. You just didn't know. But it was something that you were interested in and you decided to masturbate to. It kind of makes me think about, the video that we were doing when we were talking about watching the spirits in the porn, right? You're basically, in a sense, masturbating to demons, masturbating to incubus and succubus spirits. And then when you actually think about the fact that you may have been watching a video of someone getting abused. Now, obviously, there's a lot of people who don't intentionally just click on a topic that, is almost telling you that this is abuse, but you really do have that crowd of people who search for that kind of content. And there was somebody in the last video that we just did about the dating apps, and they commented that they found themselves not getting off on the same type of videos that they usually get off on. And it became something where they had to let it go because they were, searching for things that they shouldn't have been searching for. I forget exactly how he or she put it. I think it was a male that commented that comment. And if you are watching, I'm not, saying this to talk about you, but I'm just saying it goes to show a lot of people eventually want more. And I think we've talked about it before that a lot of, serial killers or serial rapists, pedophiles and so on, they have very similar stories. We've talked about it. I think we talked about it in that Watching Spirits video where it starts with amateur porn. Then it goes to you want to see, what a 15-year-old is like. Now you want some dark, deep website where you can watch, basically sex crimes of 10 and under. Y'all heard her say that there were videos on Pornhub down to 3-year-olds, bro. 3-year-olds. So we're talking about a site that should be completely banned. And it's not. And, which you're going to hear more of in the next clip. They make billions off of this stuff. It's free for you to watch it, but it's heavily monetized. Heavily monetized. And they know they have this kind of content on their websites. And the fact that there's really no process to get it off is crazy. But look, I'm going to let y'all hear some more before I, really continue on. And we'll come back and talk about it a little bit more. All right. Check this out.
And I can tell you some victim stories. I can tell you some of the things that I saw myself on the site. I mean, one of the worst things that I saw on the site was an instance where it was a young Asian woman, and she was drugged so completely that her body was completely limp. She was unconscious, and there was a masked assailant who actually, to prove to the camera that she was unconscious, he was lifting her eyelids and touching her eyeballs to prove that she wasn't responsive, and then tickling her feet and doing things like that. And then the title was in Chinese. And so what I did was I took the title and I put it into Google Translate, and the title was Dead Pig Unconscious After Being Drugged. And it included eyes half open after being drugged. Like, that was the actual title of the video. And then, of course, because there's the algorithm, right? They have set up the algorithm to make sure if you see one video like that, they're going to assume that you like that content. So then they're going to take you on a crazy rabbit hole. I call it just hellhole of rape. Like, that's what it was. And then you go and they'll show you more and more of the same kind of thing,
And so then the people would upload them and then make money off of advertising on them somehow, or who?
Yes, yeah. So the ones that were making money off of this content, because this is free porn, right?
Right.
Free porn's not free, right? It is heavily monetized with ads. So they were selling 4.6 billion ad impressions on Pornhub every single day. So they were heavily monetizing this content. Now, the people who were uploading were doing it mostly for free. Like, right. 80% of people who are uploading were just doing it for social currency, like likes and clicks and comments and shares and all of that. The reason why people upload to social media.
Right.
Some of them were doing pay to download content where they could actually do profit sharing with Pornhub. That was happening as well. But most of the money made from free porn is actually made by the corporation running the site, right? Okay. So by the end of December 2020, so they had grown to be the 5th most visited website in the entire world. So not just porn site, website. They had 170 million visits per day, 62 billion visits per year. And like I said, enough content uploaded every year would take 169 years to watch. So they had 56 million pieces of content on the site by the end of 2020. And this was the year that trafficking hub movement began. So go back to the story. So I made this discovery.
Oh my God.
And I
That's
said,
massive.
I literally said what you just said. Oh my God. This site is infested with videos of rape, trafficking, non-consensual content. We used to call it revenge porn, but we call it image-based sexual abuse. And I have to sound the alarm on this. I have to, tell people what's going on. And so I did, the only thing that I could do at the time was I took to it was Twitter, right? At the time, Twitter. And I started to share this information, share the stories, share the what I discovered about the upload process. And in a burst of inspiration, I shared the hashtag trafficking hub. Per definition, so by definition, any sex act that is commercialized and it's involving a child, or any sex act that's induced by force, fraud, or coercion, and it's commercialized, so it's for profit, like it's something of value is exchanged for that sex act, it is per definition an act of trafficking. So every child being abused on Pornhub, every adult who was non-consenting, who was raped and trafficked, those are instances of trafficking. I don't think people quite understand that, but that is per international definition and domestic.
Now, when you think about it, some of the stories that she was reading is terrifying. The one that she started off with, where I think she said it was a family member of a girl that went missing for a year, or I'm not sure if it was a family member or not, but she was basically found by someone who saw her on Pornhub, and they realized that she'd been forced into over 50 videos. She was found by someone noticing her on the website. That's insane. That you were basically being trafficked, forced into sex, and you were found by someone who just happened to be watching videos, I'm assuming. It didn't say they were specifically looking for her. They stumbled upon her and noticed that this girl was missing for an entire year. And where she was talking about the title being in Chinese of a guy who completely drugged a girl, her body was limp. He was playing with her eyelids to show you that, yes, this girl is completely drugged. So for all the wicked freaks out there who looking for this content, I'm showing you that, yes, she's drugged. It's damn near like supply and demand. There's people who want to watch this stuff, who are sick in the mind and act as everyday normal people in front of you. They're a normal person, but when they get home and get behind that screen and they ready to masturbate to the sick stuff that they like to watch, that is what they search for. Can almost guarantee you there's probably, like she said, the algorithm thinks you like it. So titles that are in Chinese or in other languages, there's probably thousands of videos that are titled that way, maybe even on purpose. They may not even have to be Chinese, but they titled it that way for the people who know to look for it like that. And you could find these videos of sex crimes on Pornhub and watch it, masturbate, and do whatever you want to do. It's the same thing. Like, I know I brought up the Orlando Brown point. Remember, he was like, they're smiling and laughing in the commercials, but they got to go back to hell. It's the same thing for the videos on Pornhub. That's why I said over 90% of people, you probably watched a video, especially if you're looking for those home film videos, amateur stuff or whatever. You probably watched a video of a girl being abused and trafficked and forced into sex, and you just didn't know it. And she's acting like this is okay, probably because she has to. She's being forced to do it that way. And after that video is done, you don't even know what life she goes back to, being in. So I can confidently say that a lot of people have watched it and you just don't know. And, It's sick as hell to hear the numbers behind it, how long it would actually take to watch the amount of videos that are being uploaded in a year. The fact that it was the fifth most searched website at a time. I'm not sure if it's like that today. That goes to show you that this country being the number one consumer in child, what, the number one purchaser of child, what. And it's from all over, even down to the border. I pulled up an article on my computer, right? And I could put it on the screen here if y'all want to see it. But it was just something short that I had for reference, right? It said the Department of Homeland Security Office of Inspector General released a stunning report that under Kamala Harris, they had to toss that in there. 300,000 illegal immigrant children are unaccounted for. Now, we're just talking about illegal immigrant children. We're not talking about the kids that go missing here legit every single year. This report says that 300,000 children are unaccounted for at the border. It doesn't matter that they're immigrant children. That doesn't matter. They're kids at the end of the day. Doesn't really matter. So it says the stunning report goes on to say that Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, has no assurance that these unaccounted children are safe from trafficking, exploitation, or forced labor. Think about that. They have no assurance. Most of them probably don't care. They're immigrant children. Most of them probably don't care. But this goes to show you that even down to the border, we already know other countries, so on and so on, what they are doing to kids. And a lot of times, these kids end up on websites like Pornhub, end up trafficked, end up in forced labor situations. And y'all, we're almost talking about 500,000 kids. Like, when I saw this report, unaccounted for, no idea. And it says if they are safe from trafficking, exploitation, or forced labor, they have no idea. And I just thought, it was very relevant because it's the same thing with these websites. You're watching stuff, you have no idea where these kids come from. She said down to 3-year-olds. Oh, bro, I have a hard time even saying that. 3-year-olds, yo. I have a hard time saying it because I don't want to imagine something like that. I don't want to imagine that. I don't want to see that in my head, but it's the harsh, grim reality. That's why I said in the beginning of the video, this is that kind of information people be like, you know what? You didn't have to tell me that. I could have died not knowing any of that information. And sometimes I understand that. I understand people for going that route because, everything isn't meant to be known. Everything isn't meant to be figured out. We already know that. Some people, they take it upon themselves to embrace it and expose it, which is what I like to do. But then there is a draw to some stuff. It's sick. It's sick as hell. And for me, it's just mostly, I don't want to see it in my head. I don't want to picture it. I have no problem talking about it, researching it, exposing it, but it's sick, y'all. It's sick. And that's exactly why I said that, and I understand it. But yeah, y'all. So I wasn't gonna make this video too long. I definitely just wanted to get that on the channel because I will say it a million times. Anytime I come across this kind of information, especially if it was something that I wasn't aware of, I have to talk about it. I have to do my part, put it out there, get y'all opinions, and yeah, man. So with that being said, y'all, y'all already know we'll be back with another video. I got another one lined up. And yeah, man, with that being said, it's Black Balloon, and I'm gonna see y'all soon. I'm out.